everybody, I'm Keshta Pingree, and I'm back with my first review on this channel. So let's see how this goes, and I will do my best to make all the points, explain the story, tell you what I liked about the story, who I think would like this story, so let's start. My first book review is going to be about Scythe, for Scythe by Neal Shusterman. He's a young adult author of speculative fiction is what I would say. Neal Shusterman is an author that I've been reading for a really long time actually, since high school, and that's been a few years now because I'm old. The first book I read by him was Unwind, and to this day I think about that series a lot. And for me that kind of makes, it separates a good story from an excellent story. And naturally, Neal is one of my favorite writers today. It's because of Unwind that I actually decided I would like to be a writer, because he made me think and feel things that I didn't think was possible in a book. I don't know. I mean, I've always been a reader, I've always liked media and stories, but Unwind was something special, is something special. But today we're going to talk about Scythe, because it's his newest series, and I've yet to read the last book, and that means I've been rereading the first two. So I started with Scythe naturally. Let's get on with it. Scythe, like Unwind, is a YA dystopian story. I'm kind of a sucker for dystopian stories. I don't know what it is, but I like that genre a lot. So Scythe is a little bit different from Unwind, because even though it's still in that dystopian genre, the world isn't a mess like it is in Scythe, and kind of the requirement for dystopian is that the world's a mess and we gotta go save it, like in the Hunger Games. But with Scythe, it's more of a utopia. It's a perfect place to live, because humans have conquered everything. Humans have conquered death, even. Which, you know, is insane. But because everyone's still grounded on this planet, in the book they explained that they've never gone off and colonized new planets as of yet. You know, there's finite amount of space on Earth. And so they have scythes, like on the cover. And they are in charge of trimming the population, if you will. So that right there I thought was a really interesting premise. People conquered death. There are jobs where you have to kill people. That's weird. We follow two characters, Rowan and Citra, and they're kids in this world who, you know, are just living life and doing their thing until they are approached by a Scythe who wants to take them both on as apprentices. Scythe Faraday. They train side by side and we learn more about this world and what a Scythe's duty is, and there's a lot of, well, it's like Unwind in that there are a lot of questions asked in this book, you know, about morality. One of the things I like about Neal Shusterman is that his books don't feel preachy, but they definitely ask you a lot of questions. They ask you to think a lot about things. And so in this world, where death has been conquered, you could jump off a building, you can be revived at a revival center, taken off by an ambu drone, and all is well. There's like, I can't remember if there was more than this, but fire is the only permanent death, I believe, that you can have in this world. If you are burned alive to ashes and there's nothing left, they can't revive you. But this world is run by the Thunderhead. It's like the cloud that has grown sentience, and now it's a huge AI that watches over everyone. And so there aren't any fire problems because the Thunderhead keeps track of all of that. And obviously it would be illegal for anybody to wield fire to harm someone, unless you're a Scythe. So Rowan and Citra both meet Scythe Faraday, and he decides that he thinks they might have what it takes to be a Scythe. And he is an he believes in the old world method, I suppose, of scythes. He doesn't think you should enjoy it. He thinks it should be a burden, and you need to have compassion. Each scythe has their own way of doing things. There are also new scythes well, I don't know if they call them new age, I don't know. There are also other Scythes who have new ideas, especially one, Goddard, and he is pretty cruel. And obviously Scythes like Faraday do not like him very much. Of course, this becomes a center point of conflict, because what is the duty of someone who reaps souls? Lives. I'm going way too fantasy now. This is a sci-fi. So there's conflict between, you know, what Scythe should be doing. Rowan and Citra are already reluctant, even though Faraday is a very kind, compassionate teacher who they grow to love quite a bit. So all is going well with Rowan and Citra, and they're thinking maybe they can do this Scythe thing. But at Conclave, where all the Scythes gather, and the High Blade kind of maintains order, if you will. They talk about what they're gonna do and what they're not gonna do. Everybody is not very happy that Rowan and Citra are in a dual apprenticeship, and so they tell Faraday that he can't have them both, basically. What he wanted to do was have one of the apprentices become a Scythe at the end of this training, and the other one would go back to their life. But at the Conclave, they decide that no, the first act of whoever becomes a Scythe will be to reap the other, essentially. So it becomes, you know, stakes are raised, especially because Rowan and Citra have become good friends. The pacing for this story is really quick, commercial, you know, you don't have to sit there and think about the writing very much. That's something I really like about Neal Shusterman. Not saying that I don't like pretty writing too, but it's very interesting to kind of look at how that paces a story. So if you're looking for tight plot, this might be one for you. As far as characters, this isn't what I would call a character-driven story. So people who really like to dive into like a character's head, they might not enjoy this as much, but I personally think the characters are done really well. And, I don't know, there are some moments where you feel pretty bad for what the characters are going through and what they have to learn. So I feel Neal does an excellent job that direction too. Obviously, I find the world building fascinating. I mean, I told you the premise. I feel like that gives you a pretty good idea of what to expect of the world building. Neal really explores what that means, what a world like that, what it would look like. And this isn't a review about Thunderhead, which is the next book in the series, but that's a very interesting book because in this one we don't learn a ton about the Thunderhead. We know that it watches over everyone and that life is great for everyone. But in the next book, we kind of get to explore. The Thunderhead has, I don't know, I want to say human thoughts in the next book. It's very interesting. We'll see how I feel about it the second time around. I'm sure I'll love it because I loved it the first time, but you know. As far as the enjoyment level satisfaction, there are some big payoff moments in Scythe that there's a spoilery part. I'm not going to say what it is. There's something that a character does that's kind of, it shows you how much he's changed and it's pretty intense. The ending of this book is high excitement, I guess you could say. It ramps up quick there at the end, and it solves the immediate story. But I almost want to call it somewhat of a cliffhanger because we want to know what happens next, and I think that's a really good hook into the next book. I would recommend this book to YA dystopian readers. If you liked The Hunger Games, I'm pretty darn sure you would like Scythe. I've got links to Scythe below in the description. Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Amazon. I'm an affiliate at all these places, so if you do buy the book through my link, I'll get a little bit of money for it or whatever. So if this review made you want to read the book, I'd appreciate that. Thanks, guys. Remember, if you want to see more of my content, to subscribe, like, ring the bell, and I will see you next week.